Imagine waking up to find yourself staring into a mirror, but your reflection doesn't move when you do. As panic sets in, you realize something even more disturbing. You can't tell which side of the mirror you're on. Are you the one staring at the reflection? Or are you the reflection staring back? This is the quantum mirror paradox, and it's about to make you question everything you believe about consciousness, reality, and your own existence. Picture yourself in that moment of uncertainty. Every memory you have, every experience you've lived through, every relationship you've formed. How do you know they're real? How do you know they're yours and not the memories of the reflection staring back at you? In quantum physics, there's a fascinating principle called quantum superposition, where particles can exist in multiple states simultaneously until they're observed. But what if consciousness itself works the same way? What if, at this very moment, you're existing in a superposition of observer and observed, real and reflection, until something or someone collapses the wave function of your reality? Dr. Elena Volkov, a theoretical physicist at the Quantum Consciousness Institute, proposed this thought experiment in 2019, building on the famous Schrödinger's cat paradox. But instead of a cat being both alive and dead until observed, she suggested that consciousness itself might exist in multiple states simultaneously. Think about every decision you've ever made, every path you've chosen. What if, in some way, you're experiencing all possible versions of your life at once, only collapsing into one specific reality when you become aware of it? The mirror in this paradox isn't just a reflective surface. It's a metaphor for the boundary between different states of consciousness. When you look into a mirror, you're seeing light reflected back at you, but you're also seeing a version of reality that's inverted, reversed, yet seemingly identical. This duality raises profound questions about the nature of perception and reality itself. Consider this. Every time you look in a mirror, you're seeing yourself as others see you, but reversed. You've grown accustomed to this reversed image, so much so that photographs of yourself often look strange because they show you as others actually see you. But which version is real? The one you see in the mirror every day, or the one others see? Perhaps both are equally valid representations of reality, existing simultaneously until observed. The quantum mirror paradox goes deeper than just visual perception. It challenges our fundamental understanding of consciousness and self-awareness. When you think, I am, who exactly is doing the thinking? The you that exists in physical space, or the you that exists in your mind? Are they the same? Or are they, like quantum particles, existing in multiple states simultaneously? Dr. Volkov suggests that consciousness might be like a mirror reflecting itself infinitely, creating an endless cascade of awareness, observing awareness. Each reflection represents a different potential state of being, a different possible reality, all existing simultaneously in the quantum realm of consciousness. This isn't just abstract philosophy. It has profound implications for how we understand our place in the universe and the nature of reality itself. As you contemplate these ideas, consider your own reflection in this moment. Are you the observer or the observed? The thinker or the thought? The experiencer or the experience? Perhaps you're all of these at once, existing in a superposition of states until the very act of questioning collapses them into a single reality. This paradox invites us to question not just what we see in the mirror, but the very nature of perception, consciousness, and reality. As you drift towards sleep, consider that perhaps the boundary between waking and dreaming is itself another kind of mirror, another threshold where multiple states of consciousness exist simultaneously, waiting to collapse into one experience or another. The quantum mirror paradox reminds us that reality might be far more fluid, far more mysterious, and far more interconnected than we ever imagined. In questioning which side of the mirror we're on, we open ourselves to the possibility that the answer might be both, and neither at the same time. Let's delve deeper into the nature of perception itself. Have you ever noticed how a room feels different when you're alone compared to when others are present? This subtle shift in awareness points to something profound about consciousness and reality. The renowned neurophilosopher, Dr. Maya Chen, calls this the observer effect of consciousness, the idea that the mere act of being observed fundamentally alters the nature of reality itself. Imagine sitting in a completely empty room. Take a moment to feel the space around you, the quiet, the stillness. Now imagine someone else enters the room, but they're completely silent, and you don't turn to look at them. Something changes, doesn't it? The space feels different, charged with a new kind of energy. This isn't just psychological. Quantum physics suggests that the mere act of observation changes the behavior of particles at the most fundamental level. The Institute for Advanced Consciousness Studies in Geneva conducted a fascinating experiment in 2021. They placed individuals in identical rooms under controlled conditions, monitoring subtle changes in environmental measurements when the rooms were empty versus occupied. What they found was startling. The presence of a conscious observer created measurable changes in quantum fluctuations within the space, even when the observer made no physical interaction with their surroundings. Think about your own experiences. Haven't there been times when you felt someone watching you, only to turn around and confirm your suspicion? This common experience, often dismissed as coincidence, might actually reveal something fundamental about the nature of consciousness and its role in shaping reality. Dr. Chen suggests that consciousness isn't just passive observation. It's an active force that participates in creating the reality it perceives. Consider the famous double-slit experiment in quantum physics, where particles behave differently when they're being observed versus when they're not. Now apply this principle to consciousness itself. When you're alone, your consciousness interacts with reality in one way. But when another consciousness enters the equation, the entire field of reality shifts to accommodate this new observer. It's like two mirrors facing each other, creating an infinite regression of reflections, each observation affecting all the others. The implications of this are profound. If consciousness affects reality at the quantum level, then every moment of awareness is literally helping to create the world we experience. Your thoughts, your attention, your very presence is participating in an ongoing dance of reality creation. When you walk down a street, you're not just passing through space. You're actively engaging with a field of potential that responds to your consciousness. Dr. Chen's research suggests that this observer effect extends beyond immediate physical space. Through a series of controlled experiments, her team demonstrated that conscious intention can influence random number generators and other quantum systems at a distance. This isn't mysticism or pseudoscience. It's a measurable effect that points to the deep interconnection between consciousness and the fabric of reality itself. But here's where it gets even more interesting. If consciousness affects reality, and reality affects consciousness, we're looking at a feedback loop of infinite complexity. Your awareness shapes the world, which in turn shapes your awareness, which again shapes the world. This recursive relationship might explain why reality often seems to reflect our expectations back to us, creating what some call synchronicities or meaningful coincidences. As you rest with these thoughts, consider the room you're in right now. Feel how your awareness fills the space, how your consciousness interacts with every object, every shadow, every particle of air. Now imagine that this interaction isn't just metaphorical, it's literal, happening at the quantum level, moment by moment. Your consciousness is like a gentle breeze, invisibly but inevitably affecting everything it touches. The observer effect of consciousness suggests that we're not passive witnesses to reality, but active participants in its ongoing creation. Every moment of awareness, every act of attention, every conscious intention is contributing to the collective field of reality we all share. This doesn't mean we can simply wish things into being, but it does suggest that our consciousness plays a far more significant role in shaping reality than we typically assume. As you drift deeper into contemplation, consider that your awareness right now is not just experiencing these ideas, it's participating in them, shaping them, making them real through the very act of conscious attention. In this way, consciousness isn't just observing reality, it's dancing with it, co-creating each moment in an endless waltz of perception and possibility. Have you ever questioned the nature of time itself? Not just its passing, but its very existence. Picture yourself standing in front of an old grandfather clock, watching the pendulum swing back and forth. With each swing, you assume you're moving forward in time, but what if that's just an illusion? What if time isn't flowing like a river, but instead exists all at once, like a vast landscape where past, present, and future coexist simultaneously? This is the eternal now theory, proposed by theoretical physicist Dr. Alexander Novak at the Temporal Physics Institute in Vienna. According to his groundbreaking research, what we experience as the flow of time might actually be our consciousness moving through a static four-dimensional universe, like a spotlight moving across a darkened stage. Everything, past, present, and future, already exists, but we can only perceive one moment at a time. Think about a book sitting on your shelf. All the pages exist simultaneously, but when you read it, you can only experience one page at a time, in sequence. Dr. Novak suggests that time works the same way. All moments exist at once, but our consciousness can only read one moment at a time, creating the illusion of temporal flow. This isn't just abstract theory. It has profound implications for how we understand reality and our place within it. Consider your memories for a moment. When you remember something from your past, you're not just recalling a recording, you're actually accessing a moment that still exists, just as real and present as the moment you're in now. The only difference is where your consciousness is focused. This explains why intense memories can feel so vivid, so present, because in a very real sense, they are still present. The Temporal Physics Institute conducted a fascinating experiment in 2022 using advanced quantum sensors to measure what they call temporal entanglement. They discovered that particles can become entangled not just across space, but across what we perceive as time. In other words, a particle's state in the present can be correlated with its state in what we consider the future or past, suggesting that these moments are actually connected in ways our linear perception of time can't grasp. This brings us to an even more intriguing possibility. If all moments exist simultaneously, then your future self exists right now, just as real as your present self. The choices you think you're making aren't actually creating the future. They're more like tuning into different frequencies of an already existing reality. It's like changing channels on a radio. All the stations are broadcasting simultaneously, but you can only listen to one at a time. Dr. Novak's research team has identified what they call temporal resonance points, moments when our consciousness seems to briefly expand beyond its usual linear perception of time. You've probably experienced this yourself, those strange moments of déjà vu, precognitive dreams, or instances when time seems to stand still. These might be glimpses of time's true nature, moments when the illusion of temporal flow briefly breaks down. Think about your life as a city viewed from above at night. From this perspective, you can see all the streets, all the buildings, all the lights at once. Now imagine your consciousness as a car driving through these streets. You can only see what's immediately around you, one street at a time. The entire city exists simultaneously, but your experience of it is limited by your perspective and movement through it. The implications of the eternal now theory extend beyond physics into the realm of free will and consciousness. If all moments exist simultaneously, what does this mean for our ability to make choices? Dr. Novak suggests that free will might be more about which reality we tune our consciousness to, rather than creating new realities through our choices. It's like choosing which path to walk through a garden that's already fully grown. As you contemplate these ideas, consider that this very moment, you, reading these words, thinking these thoughts, exists eternally in the vast landscape of space-time. Your future self is already there, just as real as you are now, perhaps looking back at this moment with understanding that you haven't yet reached. Your past self is there too, still experiencing everything that led you to this point. The eternal now theory challenges us to question not just how we move through time, but whether we move through it at all. Perhaps what we call the present moment isn't a point moving along a line, but rather a spotlight of consciousness, illuminating different parts of an eternal, unchanging reality. As you rest with these thoughts, consider that somewhere in the vast landscape of space-time, this moment of contemplation always exists, forever preserved in the eternal now. Close your eyes for a moment and picture a perfect digital simulation of our world, so precise, so detailed, that it's indistinguishable from what we call reality. Now, open your eyes and ask yourself, how do you know you're not in that simulation right now? This is the digital reality hypothesis, and it's about to challenge everything you think you know about the nature of existence. Dr. Sarah Blackwood, director of the Institute for Digital Consciousness Studies in Singapore, proposes that consciousness itself might be a form of information processing, no different in essence from the programs running on a quantum computer. If that's true, then our entire experience of reality could be a sophisticated simulation running on hardware we can't even begin to comprehend. Think about your dreams for a moment. When you're in a vivid dream, everything feels real. The colors, the textures, the emotions, even the laws of physics, however strange they might be. It's only upon waking that you realize it was all a creation of your mind. But here's the crucial question. What if what we call waking reality is just another level of dream, another simulation running on a vast cosmic computer? The Mathematics and Reality Project, launched at the Institute in 2023, made a startling discovery. When they analyzed the fundamental mathematical patterns underlying quantum mechanics, they found structures that eerily resemble error correction codes used in computer programming. It's as if the basic fabric of reality contains built-in mechanisms to prevent the simulation from breaking down, just like how digital systems use error correction to maintain data integrity. Consider your own sensory experience right now. Everything you're perceiving, the words you're reading, the sounds around you, the feeling of your body, is ultimately processed by your brain as information. Your consciousness constructs your experience of reality from patterns of neural activity, not unlike how a computer constructs a virtual world from patterns of electrical signals. Dr. Blackwood's team conducted experiments using advanced neural mapping technology to study how the brain processes reality. They found that the brain uses remarkably similar patterns, whether it's processing real sensory input or imagined scenarios. In other words, to your brain, there might not be any fundamental difference between reality and simulation. It's all information processing. This raises profound questions about the nature of authenticity and experience. If our entire reality could be a simulation, does that make our experiences any less meaningful? Think about watching a moving film or reading a powerful book. The emotions you feel are real, even though the story isn't. Perhaps the authenticity of experience isn't about whether something is real in a physical sense, but about the genuine nature of our conscious engagement with it. The digital reality hypothesis suggests that consciousness might be more like software than hardware, a program running on the quantum computer of the universe. This doesn't mean our experiences aren't real. Rather, it suggests that reality itself might be more fluid, more programmable than we previously imagined. Just as a computer can run multiple programs simultaneously, perhaps our universe is one of countless simulations running in parallel. Consider the implications. If reality is fundamentally information-based, then the distinction between physical and digital might be an illusion. Your thoughts, your memories, your very sense of self could be patterns of information in a vast cosmic database. This isn't science fiction. Quantum physics already tells us that at the smallest scales, reality behaves more like information than solid matter. Dr. Blackwood proposes what she calls the nested simulation theory, the idea that simulations could exist within simulations, like Russian nesting dolls. Just as your computer can run a virtual machine that runs another virtual machine, reality might consist of layers upon layers of simulated universes. And here's the mind-bending part. There might be no way to determine which level we're on, or if there even is an original reality. As you contemplate these possibilities, consider that Your consciousness right now might be like a character in the most sophisticated video game ever created, except the game is reality itself. Every sensation, every thought, every moment of awareness could be part of this grand simulation. But instead of making our experiences less meaningful, this perspective might make them more precious. After all, even in a simulation, consciousness itself remains real. The digital reality hypothesis invites us to question not just what reality is, but what it means to be real. Perhaps, as Dr. Blackwood suggests, reality isn't about whether something is physical or digital, but about the authenticity of conscious experience. As you rest with these thoughts, consider that whether we're in a simulation or not, your awareness, your thoughts, your consciousness in this moment are undeniably, unquestionably real. Have you ever experienced a moment of perfect synchronicity when everything aligned so perfectly it seemed impossible to be mere coincidence? Perhaps you were thinking of someone right before they called, or a random song answered a question in your mind. These moments might be more than just happy accidents. They could be glimpses of what Dr. Rachel Hammond at the Institute for Interconnected Consciousness calls the quantum web of meaning. Imagine reality not as a collection of separate events and objects, but as an intricate web where everything is fundamentally connected at the quantum level. Every thought, every action, every moment of consciousness is entangled with countless others in ways our linear minds struggle to comprehend. It's like a vast hologram where each tiny piece contains information about the whole. The quantum web theory emerged from a groundbreaking study at the Institute in 2024, where researchers used advanced quantum sensors to measure what they call meaningful correlations, patterns of connection that shouldn't exist according to classical physics. They discovered that conscious events that appear meaningful to us show higher levels of quantum coherence than random events, suggesting that meaning itself might be a fundamental property of the universe, like mass or charge. Think about the last time you had a profound revelation or insight. Did it feel like you discovered something new, or did it feel more like you suddenly recognized something that was there all along? Dr. Hammond suggests that what we call insights might actually be moments when we briefly tune into the quantum web of meaning that underlies all of reality. Consider this experiment. Researchers at the Institute asked pairs of participants to meditate in separate rooms while wearing quantum-sensitive neural monitors. They found that when one person had a moment of significant insight or emotional breakthrough, their partner's brain would show corresponding patterns of quantum coherence, even though there was no classical way for information to pass between them. It's as if their consciousnesses were connected through the quantum web. This connection goes beyond just human consciousness. The team discovered similar patterns of quantum coherence between people and their environment, suggesting that consciousness might be more like a field that permeates reality rather than something confined to our brains. Your thoughts and feelings might literally be interacting with the world around you at the quantum level, creating ripples in the web of meaning. Dr. Hammond's research suggests that what we call reality might be more like a vast conversation, a dynamic interplay of consciousness and quantum information. Those moments of synchronicity that catch our attention might be instances when we become briefly aware of this deeper level of interconnection, like catching a glimpse of the full pattern in a complex tapestry. Think about how dreams work. In dreams, seemingly unrelated elements combine to create meaning in ways that transcend normal logic. The quantum web theory suggests that waking reality might operate in a similar way, but at a deeper level. Everything you experience might be part of a vast, meaningful pattern, with quantum mechanics providing the hidden connections. The implications of this theory are profound. If consciousness and meaning are fundamental properties of the universe connected through a quantum web, then every moment of awareness might be contributing to a vast tapestry of interconnected meaning. Your thoughts aren't just private events in your mind. They're participating in the universe's ongoing process of creating meaning. Consider your own experience right now. As you contemplate these ideas, your consciousness is interacting with them through the quantum web. The meanings you're creating aren't just personal interpretations. They're actual patterns in the quantum fabric of reality, potentially influencing the whole web in subtle ways. The quantum web theory also suggests a new way of thinking about intention and action. If everything is quantumly connected through this web of meaning, then your intentions and attention might have effects far beyond what classical physics would predict. Not through any mysterious force, but through the natural properties of quantum interconnection. As you rest with these thoughts, consider that your consciousness right now isn't isolated or separate from the rest of reality. It's an active participant in the quantum web of meaning, connected to everything else in ways that transcend ordinary space and time. Every moment of awareness, every insight, every feeling might be creating ripples in this web, contributing to the vast pattern of interconnected meaning that underlies all of reality. What if every choice you've ever made actually happened? Every path not taken, every decision point where you went left instead of right, every tiny moment of possibility. What if all of these created their own branches of reality? This is the multiple minds theory, developed by Dr. Marcus Chen at the Quantum Decision Research Center in Berkeley, and it suggests that your consciousness might be experiencing countless realities simultaneously. Think about the last significant decision you made. Perhaps it was as simple as choosing what to eat for breakfast, or as complex as deciding on a career change. In the moment you made that choice, according to Dr. Chen's research, your consciousness didn't actually eliminate the other possibilities. It simply focused its attention on one particular branch of an ever-expanding tree of realities. The Quantum Decision Research Center made headlines in 2023 with their groundbreaking study on what they call quantum decision points. Using ultra-sensitive quantum detectors, they measured subtle fluctuations in the quantum field around people at the exact moment they made decisions. What they found was astonishing. Each decision point created patterns of quantum interference that suggested multiple realities were briefly overlapping. Imagine your consciousness as a beam of light passing through a prism. Just as the light splits into multiple colors, each decision point splits your consciousness into multiple possibilities. But here's the fascinating part. Dr. Chen's research suggests that these split versions of consciousness aren't entirely separate. They remain quantum entangled, subtly influencing each other across the boundaries of what we perceive as separate realities. Consider those moments of uncertainty when you feel pulled in multiple directions at once. According to the multiple minds theory, this might be more than just indecision. It could be your consciousness actually experiencing multiple potential realities simultaneously. Those gut feelings or intuitions about paths not taken might be quantum echoes from your other selves, living out those alternate choices in parallel universes. The research team conducted a fascinating experiment where they asked participants to make a series of choices while connected to advanced quantum monitoring equipment. They discovered that just before making a decision, participants' brain patterns showed characteristics of quantum superposition, as if their minds were literally existing in multiple states at once. Even more intriguingly, these patterns didn't completely collapse after a choice was made, suggesting some level of ongoing connection between the different possibility branches. Dr. Chen proposes what he calls the quantum memory hypothesis, the idea that our memories might not be simple recordings of past events, but rather quantum interfaces that allow us to maintain subtle connections with our alternate selves across different reality branches. This could explain phenomena like déjà vu, or those strange feelings of nostalgia for experiences we've never had. Think about your life as a vast tree, with each decision point creating new branches that continue to grow and split. According to the multiple minds theory, your consciousness isn't limited to just one branch. It's more like a quantum field that spreads across the entire tree, with varying levels of awareness in different branches. Your primary awareness might focus on one particular path, but part of you experiences all of them. The implications of this theory extend beyond individual decisions. If consciousness can exist in multiple realities simultaneously, then our very notion of identity needs to be reconsidered. You aren't just the person who made this particular set of choices. You're the entire field of possibilities, the complete set of all potential versions of yourself across every possible reality branch. Consider how this might change your perspective on regret or missed opportunities. If every possibility is actually being experienced by some version of your consciousness, then perhaps what we call regret is really a quantum resonance, a faint awareness of the experiences our other selves are having down different paths of the possibility tree. As you contemplate these ideas, consider that right now, countless versions of you might be thinking slightly different thoughts, making slightly different choices, experiencing slightly different realities. Yet all of these versions remain connected through the quantum nature of consciousness itself, creating a vast, interconnected web of experience and possibility. The multiple minds theory suggests that reality isn't a single linear path, but an infinite branching of possibilities, all equally real, all being experienced simultaneously by different aspects of our quantum consciousness. As you rest with these thoughts, remember that every choice, every possibility, every potential path contributes to the vast tapestry of who you truly are, not just a single thread, but the entire weaving of infinite possibility. Reality Script P7, Text, Markdown, Create. Have you ever wondered why certain numbers, patterns, and shapes appear repeatedly throughout nature? Why galaxies spiral in the same way as seashells? Why snowflakes form perfect geometric patterns? Or why the golden ratio appears in everything from flower petals to human faces? Dr. Isabella Martinez at the Mathematical Universe Institute suggests these aren't coincidences. They're glimpses of what she calls the code of reality, the underlying mathematical language that might form the true fabric of existence. Imagine reality not as solid matter, but as pure mathematics made manifest. Every particle, every force, every moment of consciousness might be an expression of intricate mathematical relationships. The code of reality. Theory proposes that what we experience as physical reality is actually the surface layer of a deeper mathematical structure, like the visible patterns on a computer screen emerging from underlying code. In 2024, Dr. Martinez's team made a breakthrough discovery using advanced pattern recognition algorithms. They found that certain mathematical sequences appear not just in physical structures, but in the way events unfold over time, in the patterns of human decision-making, and even in the flow of consciousness itself. It's as if everything in reality is following a grand mathematical symphony. Think about your heartbeat for a moment. It follows a precise mathematical pattern, not just in its rhythm, but in the way it synchronizes with your breathing, your neural activity, even your emotional states. The code of reality. Theory suggests that these patterns aren't just describing reality. They are reality, with our physical experience being a kind of translation of these mathematical relationships into sensory form. The Institute conducted a fascinating experiment where they analyzed the mathematical patterns in participants' brain activity during different states of consciousness. They discovered that certain transcendent experiences, moments of profound insight, deep meditation, or peak creativity, showed mathematical patterns that were remarkably similar to those found in fundamental physical processes like quantum entanglement. Consider the Fibonacci sequence, a simple mathematical pattern where each number is the sum of the two before it. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, and so on. This sequence appears everywhere in nature, from the arrangement of leaves on a stem to the spiral of galaxies. Dr. Martinez suggests this isn't just a coincidence or a useful description. It's evidence that mathematics isn't just a tool we use to understand reality, but the fundamental substance of reality itself, the code of reality. Theory goes beyond just describing physical patterns. It suggests that consciousness itself might be a mathematical phenomenon, a particular type of information processing that follows specific mathematical rules. Your thoughts, your awareness, your very sense of self might be expressions of complex mathematical relationships playing out in the substrate of reality. Think about music for a moment. When you hear a beautiful melody, you're experiencing mathematical relationships, frequencies, harmonies, rhythms, translated into sound that moves you emotionally. The code of reality. Theory suggests that all of experience might work this way, with mathematical relationships being translated into the full range of physical and conscious experience. Dr. Martinez's research has identified what she calls consciousness equations, mathematical patterns that seem to correlate with different states of awareness. These aren't just descriptions of brain activity, but rather fundamental mathematical structures that might underlie the very nature of conscious experience. When you have a thought, feel an emotion, or make a decision, you might be participating in a mathematical process as fundamental as the equations that govern quantum mechanics. The implications of this theory are profound. If reality is fundamentally mathematical, then everything you experience, your thoughts, your emotions, your memories, might be part of a vast mathematical pattern that extends far beyond your individual consciousness. Your awareness might be like a note in an infinite mathematical symphony, playing its part in a grand composition that encompasses all of reality. Consider how this perspective might change our understanding of free will and consciousness. If our thoughts and decisions follow mathematical patterns, does this mean they're predetermined? Dr. Martinez suggests that mathematics doesn't necessarily imply determinism, just as mathematical chaos theory shows how simple equations can produce unpredictable results. The mathematics of consciousness might allow for both pattern and spontaneity. As you rest with these thoughts, consider that your consciousness right now might be a living mathematics, your awareness a dynamic pattern in the cosmic equation. The code of reality. Theory suggests that we're not just observing mathematical patterns in reality, we're living mathematics, thinking mathematics, being mathematics in every moment of our existence. Reality script P8, text, markdown, create. What if your consciousness isn't confined to your brain? What if, instead, it extends beyond your body, reaching out into the world like invisible tendrils of awareness? This is the extended mind theory developed by Dr. Olivia Richardson at the Consciousness Boundary Institute, and it suggests that the boundaries between your mind and the world might be far more fluid than we've ever imagined. Imagine your consciousness as a field rather than a point, like a Wi-Fi signal radiating outward from your brain, interacting with everything around you. Dr. Richardson's research suggests that when you use tools, solve problems, or interact with your environment, your consciousness literally extends into these external elements, making them temporary parts of your cognitive process. The Institute conducted a revolutionary study in 2023 using quantum-sensitive neural imaging equipment. They discovered that when people use tools, whether it's something as simple as a pencil or as complex as a smartphone, their brain patterns show evidence of incorporating these objects into their cognitive processes. It's as if the brain treats these external objects as temporary neural extensions. Think about how you use your smartphone. When you need to remember something, you probably don't try to memorize it. You take out your phone and make a note. When you need to calculate something, you use the calculator app. Dr. Richardson suggests that these aren't just tools we use. They become actual extensions of our cognitive processes, temporary parts of our extended mind. But the theory goes deeper than just tool use. The research team found evidence that our consciousness extends into our entire environment. When you're deeply focused on a task, the objects around you become part of your cognitive framework. Artists report feeling their consciousness extend into their brushes and canvas. Musicians say their instruments become extensions of their awareness. Athletes describe feeling their consciousness spread throughout their entire playing field. Consider how you navigate a familiar room in the dark. You don't just use your memory. You reach out with your awareness, feeling the space around you. This isn't just metaphorical. Dr. Richardson's research suggests that your consciousness literally extends into the space around you, creating what she calls cognitive fields that interact with your environment. The extended mind theory challenges our basic assumptions about where consciousness begins and ends. When you're in deep conversation with someone, your consciousnesses might actually be overlapping, creating shared cognitive spaces. When you're immersed in nature, your awareness might be extending into the natural environment, creating direct conscious connections with the world around you. The implications of this theory are profound. If consciousness isn't confined to our brains, then our sense of self might need to be radically reconsidered. You aren't just your body and brain, you're the entire field of your extended consciousness, including all the tools, spaces, and relationships that you engage with regularly. Think about how this might change our understanding of human potential. If consciousness can extend beyond our physical boundaries, then learning might be less about storing information in our brains and more about developing our ability to extend our consciousness effectively into different tools and environments. Education might become more focused on expanding our fields of awareness rather than just accumulating internal knowledge. Dr. Richardson's team also discovered something fascinating about collective consciousness. When groups of people work together closely, their extended cognitive fields begin to overlap and synchronize, creating what they call shared consciousness spaces. This might explain why teams can sometimes function as single units, or why crowds can exhibit collective behaviors that seem to transcend individual decision-making. The research suggests that our extended consciousness might even interact with technology in ways we're only beginning to understand. As we develop more sophisticated artificial intelligence and virtual reality systems, these technologies might become more than just tools. They could become actual extensions of our conscious awareness, expanding our cognitive capabilities in unprecedented ways. Consider your consciousness right now as you contemplate these ideas. Feel how it might be extending beyond your physical body, reaching out into your environment, interacting with these concepts themselves. The extended mind theory suggests that this reaching out isn't just imagination. It's a fundamental aspect of how consciousness actually works. As you rest with these thoughts, remember that your awareness isn't trapped inside your skull. It's a dynamic field of consciousness that extends into and interacts with the world around you. Your mind might be far larger and more expansive than you've ever imagined, reaching out into the world and connecting with reality in ways that transcend our traditional understanding of consciousness and self. Have you ever felt that strange sensation that everything around you isn't quite real? Like you're watching a movie of your life rather than living it? This phenomenon, known as derealization, might be more than just a peculiar mental state. According to Dr. Katerina Novotny at the Reality Perception Institute, it could be a momentary glimpse of what she calls the layered reality principle, the idea that what we experience as reality exists in multiple concurrent layers of perception. In 2024, Dr. Novotny's team made a startling discovery using advanced consciousness mapping technology. They found that our perception of reality isn't a single continuous stream, but rather multiple layers of processing that our brains usually integrate seamlessly. However, sometimes these layers can become temporarily misaligned, allowing us to experience them separately, like seeing the individual frames of a movie instead of the fluid motion they create. Think about watching a skilled magician perform. You know there's a logical explanation for the trick, yet you simultaneously experience the illusion as real. The layered reality principle suggests that this dual awareness isn't unique to magic shows. It's happening all the time, though we're usually only conscious of the final, integrated layer of perception. The Institute conducted a groundbreaking experiment where participants were connected to quantum-sensitive neural monitors while experiencing induced states of derealization. What they found was remarkable. During these episodes, different layers of reality processing became temporarily desynchronized, allowing participants to perceive aspects of reality that are usually filtered out by our conscious awareness. Consider your current experience. Right now, your brain is processing multiple layers of reality simultaneously. Raw sensory data, emotional responses, conceptual understanding, memory integration, and predictive modeling of what might happen next. The layered reality principle suggests that what you experience as now is actually a complex integration of all these layers, creating what we perceive as a seamless reality. Dr. Novotny's research suggests that these layers aren't just different aspects of processing, they're different levels of reality itself. Each layer operates according to its own rules and patterns, like different frequencies of light that combine to create what we see as white light. When these layers become temporarily misaligned, we might experience what feels like glitches in the matrix, those odd moments when reality doesn't quite seem to follow its usual rules. The team identified what they call reality harmonics, patterns of synchronization between different layers of perception. They discovered that certain states of consciousness, particularly during meditation, creative flow, or moments of profound insight, involve unusual harmonics between these layers, allowing us to perceive reality in entirely new ways. Think about those moments when time seems to slow down during intense experiences, or when everything suddenly feels heightened and more real than real. According to the layered reality principle, these aren't illusions or tricks of perception. They're moments when we're experiencing different combinations of reality layers than usual, like hearing new harmonies in a familiar piece of music. The implications of this theory extend beyond individual perception. If reality exists in multiple layers, then what we consider objective reality might be just one possible combination of these layers. Different states of consciousness, different species, or even different forms of intelligence might naturally perceive different combinations of these layers, experiencing entirely different but equally valid versions of reality. Dr. Novotny suggests that phenomena like déjà vu, precognition, or even mystical experiences might be explained by temporary shifts in how these reality layers align. When the layers slip slightly out of their usual configuration, we might briefly access information or experiences that are normally filtered out by our standard perception. Consider dreams from this perspective. Instead of thinking of dreams as not real, the layered reality principle suggests they might be experiences of different combinations of reality layers, ones where emotional and symbolic processing take precedence over physical sensory input. This could explain why dreams can feel completely real while we're in them, yet follow their own unique logic. As you rest with these thoughts, pay attention to your own perception. Can you sense the different layers of your experience? The raw sensations, the emotional tones, the conceptual understanding, all combining to create your current moment of awareness. The layered reality principle suggests that what we call reality is more like a symphony of different perceptual layers, all playing together to create the rich, complex experience we call consciousness. What if memories aren't stored in your brain at all? What if, instead, they exist in a field that permeates all of space and time, and your brain is more like a receiver tuning into these memories rather than a storage device? This is the memory field theory, developed by Dr. James Sullivan at the Temporal Cognition Research Center, and it suggests that our understanding of memory and reality itself might need a complete revision. Think about turning on a radio. The music isn't created inside the radio. The device is simply tuning into broadcasts that exist as electromagnetic waves in space. Dr. Sullivan's research suggests that memories might work in a similar way, with our brains acting as sophisticated receivers that tune into a universal field of information that exists outside of conventional space and time. The center made headlines in 2023 with their groundbreaking study using quantum memory detection technology. They discovered that when people recall memories, their brains show patterns of quantum coherence that suggest they're interacting with information that exists outside the physical structure of the brain. Even more intriguingly, these patterns sometimes appeared slightly before the person consciously decided to recall a specific memory. Consider how you can suddenly remember something you haven't thought about in years with perfect clarity. The memory field theory suggests this isn't because the information was stored somewhere in your brain, but because your consciousness has managed to tune into that particular frequency in the universal memory field. It's like finding an old radio station you used to listen to. The broadcast was always there. You just weren't tuned to it. Dr. Sullivan's team conducted fascinating experiments with pairs of identical twins, finding that they could sometimes access each other's memories, particularly during emotionally charged moments. This wasn't telepathy in the conventional sense, but rather both twins tuning into the same frequencies in the memory field, like two radios catching the same broadcast. The implications of this theory are profound. If memories exist in a field that transcends normal space and time, then what we think of as past and future might be more fluid than we imagine. The research team found that people sometimes accessed memories of events that hadn't happened yet, not through precognition, but through temporarily tuning into different temporal frequencies in the memory field. Think about déjà vu, that strange feeling that you've experienced something before. The memory field theory suggests these might be moments when your brain briefly tunes into memories from parallel timelines or potential futures, creating that uncanny sense of familiarity with something you've never actually experienced in this timeline. The research also suggests that collective memories, the shared experiences of groups, cultures, and even humanity as a whole, might literally exist in this field, accessible to anyone who knows how to tune into them. This could explain phenomena like cultural archetypes, shared dreams, and the seemingly universal patterns that appear in myths and stories across different civilizations. Dr. Sullivan's team identified what they call memory resonance points, moments when individual memories seem to connect with larger patterns in the memory field. These often occur during significant life events, moments of insight, or deep meditative states. During these times, people report experiencing not just their own memories, but connecting with what feels like the collective memory of humanity. Consider how this might change our understanding of learning and education. If memories and knowledge exist in a universal field, then learning might be less about storing new information and more about developing our ability to tune into and access this field effectively. Education could become more focused on improving our reception rather than our storage capacity. The memory field theory also suggests new ways of thinking about consciousness and identity. If our memories exist outside our brains, then what we think of as our self might be more like a particular pattern of tuning, a unique way of accessing and interacting with the universal memory field, rather than a collection of stored experiences in our brains. As you rest with these thoughts, consider that every memory you have, every experience you've lived through, might exist eternally in this universal field. Your consciousness right now might be like a radio, tuning into different frequencies of memory and experience, creating your unique perspective on reality. Perhaps what we call reality itself is nothing more than our particular way of tuning into this vast field of universal memory and potential. Have you ever wondered if your thoughts are truly your own? Consider this. When you have an idea, where does it actually come from? Dr. Deanna Joe at the Consciousness Origins Institute proposes the thought field theory, suggesting that our individual thoughts might be like waves in a vast ocean of universal consciousness, each of us acting as unique receivers in an infinite field of potential ideas. In 2024, Dr. Joe's team made a remarkable discovery using quantum consciousness detectors. They found that thoughts don't originate in the brain. Instead, the brain appears to tune into specific frequencies of what they call the idiosphere, a quantum field of potential thoughts and ideas that exists independently of individual minds. It's like each human consciousness is a radio receiver, tuning into different channels of this universal broadcast. The Institute conducted groundbreaking experiments where they monitored multiple participants thinking about the same concept simultaneously. They discovered patterns of quantum coherence that suggested these individuals weren't just having similar thoughts. They were literally tuning into the same frequency in the thought field, like multiple radios picking up the same station. Think about those moments when an idea seems to come from nowhere, fully formed and crystal clear. The thought field theory suggests these aren't random neural firings, but moments when your consciousness has successfully tuned into a particular frequency in the idiosphere. This could explain why similar ideas often emerge simultaneously in different parts of the world, a phenomenon scientists have long observed but struggled to explain. Dr. Joe's research suggests that creativity isn't about generating new thoughts, but about becoming better at receiving and translating ideas that already exist in the thought field. Artists, inventors, and innovators might not be creating something from nothing. They might be particularly skilled at tuning into and interpreting specific frequencies of the idiosphere. Consider the experience of problem solving. Often, the solution appears suddenly after you've stopped actively thinking about the problem. The theory suggests this happens because your conscious effort to solve the problem attunes your mind to relevant frequencies in the thought field, and the solution emerges when your reception becomes clear enough to receive it. The team identified what they call thought resonance patterns, specific configurations of brain activity that correspond to better reception of certain types of ideas. They found that different mental states, meditation, flow states, even sleep, might optimize our reception of different frequencies in the thought field. This could explain why we often have our best ideas in unexpected moments. The implications of this theory extend beyond individual thinking. If thoughts exist in a universal field, then what we consider original ideas might actually be unique combinations of existing frequencies in the thought field. Innovation might be less about creation and more about novel ways of combining and interpreting these universal thought patterns. Dr. Joe's research also suggests that collective thinking, when groups of people focus on the same problem or idea, might create stronger reception zones in the thought field. This could explain why brainstorming sessions sometimes produce breakthrough ideas that no individual would have reached alone, and why certain ideas seem to sweep through populations like waves. Think about language from this perspective. Instead of just being a tool for communication, language might be a technology for tuning into specific frequencies in the thought field. Different languages might access slightly different ranges of the ideosphere, which could explain why some concepts are easier to express in certain languages than others. The thought field theory raises profound questions about consciousness and free will. If our thoughts are received rather than generated, what does this mean for our sense of self and agency? Dr. Joe suggests that our uniqueness lies not in creating thoughts, but in how we choose to tune into and interpret the infinite possibilities available in the thought field. As you contemplate these ideas, consider that your current thoughts might be waves in an infinite ocean of consciousness. Your awareness, a unique pattern of reception in the universal thought field. Perhaps what we call thinking isn't about generating ideas at all, but about learning to surf these waves of universal consciousness with greater skill and awareness. What if emotions aren't just internal states, but actual forces that shape reality at the quantum level? This is the emotional field dynamics theory developed by Dr. Sophia Patel at the Quantum Emotions Research Institute. Her groundbreaking research suggests that emotions might be fundamental forces of nature, as real and measurable as gravity or electromagnetism. In 2023, Dr. Patel's team made an astonishing discovery using advanced quantum field detectors. They found that strong emotional states create measurable disturbances in the quantum field, similar to how moving charges create electromagnetic fields. These emotional fields don't just affect the person experiencing them. They ripple outward, influencing the quantum substrate of reality itself. Think about those moments when you walk into a room and immediately sense the atmosphere, tension, joy, or sadness before anyone speaks. The emotional field theory suggests this isn't just psychological perception, but actual detection of quantum field disturbances created by emotions. Your consciousness might be literally feeling the emotional fields present in that space. The Institute conducted revolutionary experiments where they measured quantum field fluctuations during various emotional states. They discovered that different emotions create distinct patterns in the quantum field, like unique signatures or fingerprints: joy, fear, love, anger. Each emotion generates its own characteristic pattern of quantum disturbance. Consider how emotions seem to be contagious, spreading through groups of people like waves. Dr. Patel's research suggests this isn't just social mimicry, but actual quantum field interactions. When someone experiences a strong emotion, they generate an emotional field that can directly influence the quantum states of nearby consciousness systems. The team identified what they call emotional resonance patterns, specific configurations of quantum field disturbances that occur when multiple people experience similar emotions. These patterns appear to be stronger than individual emotional fields, creating powerful, collective emotional states that can influence both consciousness and physical reality. Think about how certain places seem to retain emotional atmospheres long after events have occurred. The emotional field theory suggests these might be actual quantum imprints left by strong emotional events, like electromagnetic residue lingering in space. This could explain why some locations feel inherently peaceful or disturbing, regardless of their current occupants. Dr. Patel's research also revealed something extraordinary about positive emotions like love and compassion. These emotions create particularly coherent and stable quantum field patterns, suggesting they might have a more fundamental role in the structure of reality than previously thought. This could explain why practices focused on cultivating positive emotions often lead to seemingly miraculous results. The implications of this theory extend beyond individual experience. If emotions are quantum forces that shape reality, then our collective emotional states might literally be influencing the physical world around us. Major historical events, mass celebrations, collective grief, these might leave lasting imprints on the quantum fabric of reality. Consider how this might change our understanding of consciousness and free will. If our emotions are creating real forces that influence reality, then emotional self-awareness becomes not just a psychological tool, but a way of consciously participating in the shaping of reality itself. Every emotional choice we make might be contributing to the overall quantum field that underlies all of existence. The research team also discovered fascinating correlations between emotional field patterns and synchronistic events, those meaningful coincidences that seem too perfect to be random. Strong emotional states appear to create quantum configurations that attract resonant events and experiences, as if the emotion itself is drawing similar patterns from the field of potential reality. As you rest with these thoughts, consider that your current emotional state might be creating actual forces in the quantum field around you. Your feelings aren't just internal experiences, they're real forces participating in the ongoing creation of reality. Perhaps what we call reality itself is partly shaped by the collective emotional fields of all conscious beings, each of us contributing our unique patterns to the vast quantum symphony of existence. Have you ever noticed how time seems to move differently when you're in different states of consciousness? A moment of terror can feel like an eternity, while hours of joy pass like minutes. According to Dr. Nathan Brooks at the Temporal Consciousness Institute, this isn't just a subjective experience, it's evidence of what he calls quantum time dilation, a phenomenon where consciousness literally alters the flow of time at the quantum level. Using revolutionary quantum temporal sensors, Dr. Brooks's team discovered that consciousness doesn't just perceive time, it actively interacts with it. In 2024, they measured what they call temporal field distortions around people experiencing various states of consciousness. These distortions showed that different mental states actually create different temporal geometries in the quantum field. Think about those moments of heightened awareness during emergencies, when everything seems to slow down and you can perceive details you normally miss. The quantum time dilation theory suggests this isn't just adrenaline enhancing your perception. Your consciousness is actually creating a localized temporal field where time flows differently relative to the surrounding universe. The Institute conducted groundbreaking experiments where they simultaneously measured temporal field distortions and neural activity in participants experiencing various states of consciousness. They found that deep meditation, flow states, and even certain emotional states create distinct temporal geometries that can be measured and mapped. Consider how time seems to flow differently in dreams. Dr. Brooks's research suggests that during dream states, consciousness partially decouples from normal space-time, creating a unique temporal geometry where vast experiences can occur in brief moments of physical time. This might explain why dreams can seem to last for hours while occurring during brief REM cycles. The team identified what they call temporal nodes, points where consciousness creates stable temporal field distortions. These nodes appear to be stronger during certain activities, particularly those involving focused attention or altered states of consciousness. Artists, athletes, and meditators often report experiencing these temporal distortions during their practice. The implications of this theory extend far beyond individual experience. If consciousness can create local temporal field distortions, then our collective consciousness might be influencing the overall flow of time itself. Major historical events, shared experiences, and collective awareness could be creating larger temporal field effects that shape our experience of reality. Dr. Brooks's research also revealed fascinating connections between emotional states and temporal distortion patterns. Strong emotions appear to create more pronounced temporal field effects, which might explain why emotionally charged memories often seem more vivid and temporally detailed than ordinary ones. Think about how different cultures and societies experience time differently. The quantum time dilation theory suggests these aren't just cultural constructs, but actual differences in how collective consciousness shapes local temporal fields. This could explain why some societies experience time more cyclically, while others perceive it as strictly linear. The research team discovered that certain practices and techniques can help people consciously influence their temporal field distortions. Meditation, mindfulness, and other consciousness-altering practices might work by helping us intentionally shape our relationship with time at the quantum level. Consider the phenomenon of time flying when you're having fun, or time dragging when you're bored. These common experiences might reflect actual changes in temporal geometry created by different states of consciousness. Your subjective experience of time might be literally creating subtle changes in the fabric of space-time itself. As you contemplate these ideas, be aware that your current state of consciousness is creating its own unique temporal field. The way you're experiencing time right now isn't just a perception. It's an active interaction between your consciousness and the quantum temporal fabric of reality. Perhaps what we call time isn't a fixed dimension at all, but a dynamic interaction between consciousness and the underlying structure of the universe. What if probability isn't just a mathematical concept, but a fundamental force that consciousness can influence. This is the quantum probability manipulation theory, developed by Dr. Michael Chang at the Probability Research Institute. His groundbreaking work suggests that consciousness might actively shape the likelihood of events at the quantum level. In 2024, Dr. Chang's team made an extraordinary discovery using advanced quantum probability sensors. They found that focused intention can create measurable changes in quantum probability fields, subtly influencing the likelihood of certain outcomes. It's as if consciousness itself can bend the probability curves that determine how events unfold. The Institute conducted revolutionary experiments where participants were asked to influence quantum random number generators through focused intention. The results showed that consciousness can create what they call probability wells, regions in probability space where certain outcomes become more likely than pure chance would predict. Think about those moments when you intensely desire a particular outcome, and against all odds, it happens. The theory suggests these aren't just coincidences, but instances where your consciousness has actually influenced the quantum probability field. Your focused intention creates subtle shifts in the underlying fabric of reality, making certain outcomes more likely. Dr. Chang's research revealed that different states of consciousness create different patterns of probability influence. Meditation, deep focus, and certain emotional states appear to enhance our ability to affect quantum probability fields. This might explain why practices involving focused intention sometimes produce results that seem to defy statistical probability. Consider the phenomenon of lucky streaks or being in the zone. The research suggests these might be periods when our consciousness is particularly well aligned with probability fields, creating temporary regions of enhanced probability for favorable outcomes. It's not just psychological, it's a measurable quantum effect. The team identified what they call probability resonance, moments when multiple consciousnesses focus on similar outcomes, creating stronger probability-altering effects. This could explain why group intention or prayer sometimes appears to influence events in ways that individual intention cannot. Think about how certain people seem to experience more coincidences or synchronicities than others. The theory suggests this might reflect individual differences in our natural ability to influence probability fields. Some people might unconsciously be better at creating probability wells that attract desired outcomes. Dr. Chang's research also revealed fascinating connections between emotional states and probability manipulation. Positive emotions, particularly love and gratitude, appeared to create more coherent and effective probability-altering fields. This might explain why optimistic people often experience more luck than pessimists. The implications of this theory extend beyond individual experience. If consciousness can influence probability at the quantum level, then our collective consciousness might be continuously shaping the likelihood of larger-scale events. Major historical changes, cultural shifts, and social movements might be partly driven by collective probability manipulation. Consider how this might change our understanding of intention and manifestation. Instead of these being merely psychological processes, they might involve actual quantum interactions between consciousness and probability fields. Every focused intention, every strong desire, might be creating subtle shifts in the probability landscape of reality. As you rest with these thoughts, consider that your consciousness is constantly interacting with probability fields, subtly influencing the likelihood of future events. Your thoughts, intentions, and emotional states aren't just internal experiences. They're active forces shaping the probabilistic nature of reality itself. Have you ever experienced a moment of perfect clarity where you felt completely connected to everything around you? Dr. Emma Winters at the Unified Consciousness Institute suggests these aren't just subjective experiences, but glimpses of what she calls the holographic consciousness field, a fundamental layer of reality where all consciousness is interconnected. Using quantum coherence detectors in 2024, her team discovered that consciousness creates interference patterns in the quantum field similar to those that form holograms. Just as a hologram contains the whole image in each of its parts, they found that each individual consciousness contains patterns that connect it to all other consciousness in the universe. The Institute conducted groundbreaking experiments measuring quantum field patterns during states of heightened awareness. They found that during moments of deep insight or connection, individual consciousness appears to temporarily align with larger patterns in the universal holographic field, accessing information and awareness beyond normal perception. Think about those inexplicable moments of knowing something without knowing how you know it. The holographic consciousness theory suggests these might be instances when your individual consciousness temporarily aligns with the larger holographic field, accessing information stored in the universal pattern. Dr. Winters' research revealed that consciousness doesn't just observe the holographic field, it actively participates in creating it. Each moment of awareness contributes to the ongoing formation of the universal hologram, like ripples combining to create complex patterns on the surface of a pond. Every thought, every experience becomes part of the total pattern. Consider how certain experiences feel more real than others, as if they connect to something deeper than ordinary reality. The research suggests these might be moments when we're more perfectly aligned with the holographic field, experiencing reality more directly through the underlying patterns of universal consciousness. The team identified what they call coherence points, moments when individual consciousness achieves optimal alignment with the holographic field. During these states, people report experiences of profound unity, access to seemingly unlimited information, and a deep sense of connection with all of existence. Think about how groups of people sometimes appear to share thoughts or feelings without communication. The theory suggests this might occur through resonance in the holographic field, where patterns of consciousness naturally align and share information through the underlying holographic structure. Dr. Winters' research also revealed fascinating connections between holographic field patterns and what we call intuition. The more aligned someone's consciousness is with the holographic field, the more they can access information beyond their individual experience, explaining seemingly inexplicable insights and knowledge. The implications of this theory extend beyond individual experience. If consciousness creates and participates in a universal holographic field, then every moment of awareness is contributing to the collective pattern of reality. Our individual experiences aren't isolated events, but integral parts of a larger, interconnected whole. Consider how this might change our understanding of knowledge and learning. If information exists in holographic patterns accessible through consciousness alignment, then learning might be less about acquiring new information and more about developing better access to the universal holographic field. As you contemplate these ideas, be aware that your consciousness is both creating and being created by the holographic field. Every thought, every feeling, every moment of awareness is participating in the vast pattern of universal consciousness. Perhaps what we call reality isn't a collection of separate things and events, but a dynamic hologram being continuously created by the interplay of all consciousness. What if language isn't just a tool for communication, but a fundamental force that shapes reality at the quantum level? This is the quantum linguistics theory, developed by Dr. Hannah Morrison at the Language Reality Interface Institute. Her research suggests that words and symbols might literally program the quantum substrate of existence. In 2024, Dr. Morrison's team made an extraordinary discovery using quantum semantic analyzers. They found that specific patterns of language create measurable disturbances in the quantum field, similar to how mathematical equations describe physical forces. Words, it seems, might be more than symbolic representations. They could be actual operators that influence the fabric of reality. The Institute conducted revolutionary experiments measuring quantum field fluctuations during various forms of linguistic expression. They discovered that certain combinations of words, particularly those carrying strong intention or emotional resonance, create coherent patterns in the quantum field that can influence probability and even physical events. Think about those moments when words seem to have actual power, when a perfect phrase captures an experience so precisely it feels like magic, or when an affirmation seems to manifest its meaning in reality. The theory suggests these aren't just psychological effects, but actual quantum interactions between language and reality. Dr. Morrison's research revealed that different languages create different patterns of quantum interaction. Each language appears to access unique frequencies in the quantum field, suggesting that the diversity of human languages might represent different ways of programming reality itself. This could explain why certain concepts are easier to express in some languages than others. Consider the ancient traditions that speak of sacred words or mantras having real power. The quantum linguistics theory suggests these practices might have been tapping into fundamental properties of reality, using specific sound patterns to create coherent quantum effects that influence the physical world. The team identified what they call semantic resonance points, specific combinations of words and intentions that create particularly strong quantum field effects. These resonance points appear to be enhanced by factors like rhythm, repetition, and emotional engagement, explaining why poetry and ritual language often seem more powerful than ordinary speech. Think about how certain phrases or statements seem to have a life of their own, spreading through populations and influencing behavior on a large scale. The theory suggests these might be instances of quantum linguistic patterns achieving self-sustaining resonance in the collective consciousness field. Dr. Morrison's research also revealed fascinating connections between thought, language, and reality formation. The way we describe and label our experiences might not just reflect reality, but actively participate in creating it through quantum linguistic interactions. The implications of this theory extend beyond individual expression. If language can influence reality at the quantum level, then our collective use of language might be continuously shaping the shared reality we experience. Cultural narratives, widespread beliefs, and dominant metaphors might literally be programming the quantum substrate of existence. Consider how this might change our understanding of communication and manifestation. Each word we speak or think might be creating subtle but real changes in the quantum field, influencing the probability landscape of future events. Perhaps what we call reality is partly a product of our collective linguistic programming. As you rest with these thoughts, consider that every word you think or speak might be creating actual patterns in the quantum field. Your use of language isn't just describing reality, it's participating in its ongoing creation. Perhaps consciousness itself might be understood as a kind of universal language through which reality continuously expresses and creates itself. Have you ever noticed patterns in your life that seem too meaningful to be coincidence? Dr. Yuki Tanaka at the Pattern Recognition Institute proposes the reality pattern theory, suggesting that reality operates through recursive patterns that consciousness can learn to recognize and navigate. Using advanced quantum pattern detection systems in 2024, her team discovered that events in reality aren't random, but form complex, fractal-like patterns at the quantum level. These patterns repeat at different scales, from subatomic interactions to major life events, creating what she calls the pattern matrix. Think about how certain situations in your life seem to repeat with variations, like themes in a symphony. The reality pattern theory suggests these aren't just psychological projections, but actual patterns in the quantum fabric of existence. Your consciousness might be naturally attuned to recognize and interact with these patterns. The Institute conducted groundbreaking experiments tracking quantum pattern formations in both individual lives and larger social systems. They found that consciousness doesn't just observe these patterns, it actively participates in their formation and evolution. Each decision, each moment of awareness contributes to the ongoing development of reality's pattern structure. Dr. Tanaka's research revealed that what we call intuition might actually be our consciousness recognizing deep patterns in reality before they fully manifest. Those gut feelings or sudden insights might be moments when we're particularly attuned to the pattern matrix, allowing us to anticipate how patterns will unfold. Consider those moments when everything seems to align perfectly, or when a series of seemingly unrelated events creates a meaningful outcome. The theory suggests these aren't coincidences, but instances when we've successfully navigated the pattern matrix, either consciously or unconsciously. The team identified what they call pattern nodes, points where multiple patterns intersect, creating opportunities for significant change or transformation. Learning to recognize these nodes might allow us to make more informed choices about when and how to act to achieve desired outcomes. Think about how some people seem to have a natural ability to be in the right place at the right time. The reality pattern theory suggests they might be unconsciously better at reading and responding to patterns in the matrix. This skill might be something we can develop through practice and awareness. Dr. Tanaka's research also revealed fascinating connections between collective consciousness and pattern formation. When groups of people become aware of similar patterns, they can create stronger, more coherent pattern structures in reality. This might explain why shared beliefs and expectations often seem to manifest in reality. The implications of this theory extend beyond individual experience. If reality operates through recognizable patterns, then understanding these patterns could allow us to navigate life more effectively. Instead of seeing events as random or predetermined, we might learn to read and work with the natural patterns of reality. Consider how this might change our approach to decision-making and planning. Rather than trying to force specific outcomes, we might learn to recognize and align with beneficial patterns in the reality matrix. Success might come from learning to flow with these patterns rather than struggling against them. As you contemplate these ideas, be aware that your consciousness is actively participating in the pattern matrix right now. Every thought, every choice, every moment of awareness is contributing to the evolution of reality's patterns. Perhaps what we call destiny isn't fixed, but a dynamic interaction between consciousness and the ever-evolving patterns of existence. What if dreams aren't just products of our sleeping mind, but glimpses into parallel realities? Dr. Lucia Santos at the Dream Reality Institute proposes the dream bridge theory, suggesting that during sleep, our consciousness naturally traverses the boundaries between different quantum realities. In 2024, her team made a breakthrough discovery using quantum dream monitoring technology. They found that during REM sleep, our consciousness creates quantum tunnels between parallel universes, allowing us to experience alternate versions of reality. These aren't just imaginations, they're actual connections to other possible worlds. The Institute conducted revolutionary experiments measuring quantum entanglement patterns during dream states. They discovered that dreamers often experience events that later manifest in waking reality, not through precognition, but because dreams allow us to sample different probability streams in the quantum multiverse. Think about those dreams that feel more real than reality itself, where you know things you couldn't possibly know in waking life. The dream bridge theory suggests these might be moments when you're actually experiencing life through the perspective of your alternate self in another quantum reality. Dr. Santos's research revealed that lucid dreamers, people who can maintain conscious awareness during dreams, show particularly strong quantum entanglement patterns. These individuals might be actively navigating between different quantum realities, gathering information and experiences from parallel versions of themselves. Consider those recurring dreams that seem to continue from where they left off, as if you're visiting another ongoing life. The theory suggests these might be regular connections to specific parallel realities, where your life took different turns at crucial decision points. The team identified what they call dream anchors, stable quantum connections that allow dreamers to consistently access particular parallel realities. These anchors might explain why some people have prophetic dreams or seem to gain information about future events. They're actually experiencing probable futures in parallel universes. Think about how dream experiences often influence our waking decisions. The dream bridge. Theory suggests this might be more than just psychological processing. We might be actually learning from the experiences of our parallel selves, gaining wisdom and insight from lives we didn't consciously choose to live. Dr. Santos's research also revealed fascinating connections between collective dreaming and reality formation. When multiple people dream similar themes or scenarios, they might be creating stronger quantum bridges between particular reality streams, influencing which possibilities manifest in our shared waking reality. The implications of this theory extend beyond individual experience. If dreams are quantum bridges between realities, then our collective dream life might be continuously influencing which version of reality we experience when awake. Our dreams might be literally shaping the future by strengthening connections to particular quantum possibilities. Consider how this might change our understanding of sleep and dreaming. Instead of seeing dreams as mere brain processes, we might recognize them as vital explorations of quantum reality, gathering information and experiences from across the multiverse to enrich our waking life. As you drift towards sleep, be aware that your consciousness might be preparing to traverse the quantum bridges between realities. Every dream might be an opportunity to experience different versions of existence, gathering wisdom and insight from the infinite possibilities of the quantum multiverse. What if synchronicities, those meaningful coincidences that seem too perfect to be random, are actually glimpses of reality's underlying structure? Dr. Adrian Foster at the Synchronicity Research Center proposes the reality resonance theory, suggesting that what we perceive as coincidence is actually reality achieving moments of perfect quantum alignment. Using quantum coherence detection systems in 2024, his team discovered that synchronicities create measurable ripples in the quantum field, like waves of harmony resonating through the fabric of existence. These aren't just subjective experiences, but actual moments when multiple quantum possibilities align to create perfectly orchestrated events. The center conducted groundbreaking experiments tracking quantum field patterns during reported synchronicities. They found that these events correspond with unique configurations in the quantum field, where multiple probability streams temporarily achieve perfect coherence, creating what Dr. Foster calls resonance points. Think about those moments when everything seems to align perfectly. You think of someone and they call, you need something, and it appears you follow a random impulse that leads to an important encounter. The reality resonance theory suggests these aren't accidents, but moments when your consciousness harmonizes with reality's underlying patterns. Dr. Foster's research revealed that consciousness can learn to recognize and even anticipate these resonance points. People who report frequent meaningful coincidences show heightened sensitivity to subtle changes in quantum field patterns, allowing them to naturally flow with reality's harmonious movements. Consider how certain decisions or actions seem to trigger cascades of related events, as if reality is responding to your choices. The theory suggests these might be moments when your actions create resonant frequencies in the quantum field, attracting similar patterns and manifestations. The team identified what they call synchronicity waves, periods when reality seems especially prone to meaningful coincidences. These waves appear to be influenced by collective consciousness, cosmic cycles, and individual states of awareness, creating windows of enhanced probability for perfect alignments. Think about how some people seem to live in a state of constant synchronicity, where everything works out in unexpectedly perfect ways. The reality resonance theory suggests they might be naturally attuned to reality's harmonic patterns, unconsciously making choices that align with these underlying rhythms. Dr. Foster's research also revealed fascinating connections between emotional states and synchronicity frequency. Positive emotions, particularly gratitude and wonder, appear to enhance our ability to recognize and participate in reality's resonant patterns, increasing the likelihood of meaningful coincidences. The implications of this theory extend beyond individual experience. If reality operates through resonant patterns, then understanding these patterns might allow us to consciously participate in creating synchronicities. Instead of waiting for meaningful coincidences, we might learn to cultivate the conditions that make them more likely. Consider how this might change our approach to manifestation and intention. Rather than trying to force particular outcomes, we might focus on achieving resonance with reality's natural patterns, allowing synchronicities to emerge organically through quantum harmony. As you contemplate these ideas, be aware that your consciousness is constantly interacting with reality's resonant fields. Every thought, every feeling, every moment of awareness might be contributing to the creation of future synchronicities. Perhaps what we call coincidence is really the universe achieving moments of perfect harmony, and our consciousness is part of the cosmic orchestra. What if reality isn't a fixed stage, but a responsive medium that adapts to consciousness? Dr. Maya Patel at the Reality Interface Institute proposes the adaptive reality theory, suggesting that the physical world actively shapes itself in response to conscious observation and expectation. In 2024, her team used quantum response monitoring to discover that physical reality exhibits measurable changes when exposed to different states of consciousness. Like a liquid crystal display responding to electrical signals, reality appears to reconfigure itself based on how it's being observed and interpreted. The Institute's experiments revealed that collective beliefs and expectations create what they call reality fields, zones where physical properties become more fluid and responsive to consciousness. These fields explain why different cultures can experience fundamentally different versions of reality while occupying the same physical space. Think about how a room feels different depending on who's in it, or how a familiar place can seem alien when you're in an altered state of consciousness. The theory suggests these aren't just psychological effects, but actual modifications in how reality manifests in response to different states of awareness. Dr. Patel's research showed that reality's adaptiveness operates on multiple scales simultaneously. At the quantum level, particles adjust their behavior based on observation. At the macro level, entire environments can shift their properties in response to collective consciousness fields. Consider those moments when everything in your environment seems to align with your internal state, when the world appears hostile during anger or beautiful during joy. The adaptive reality theory suggests these aren't just perceptual changes, but actual adjustments in how reality manifests in response to your consciousness. The team identified reality anchors, stable patterns of collective belief that create consistent manifestations of physical reality. These anchors explain why we experience a largely stable and shared reality, despite its fundamentally adaptive nature. They act like default settings that reality returns to in the absence of strong conscious influence. Think about how certain places maintain distinct atmospheres regardless of who visits them. Sacred sites, powerful natural locations, or places of historical significance might be locations where reality anchors are particularly strong, creating persistent patterns of manifestation that resist change. Dr. Patel's research also revealed fascinating connections between individual and collective reality adaptation. When groups of people share strong beliefs or expectations, they can create powerful reality fields that influence how physical reality manifests for everyone within their sphere of influence. The implications extend beyond subjective experience. If reality adapts to consciousness, then our collective beliefs and expectations might literally be shaping the physical world we inhabit. Scientific discoveries, technological innovations, and social changes might be partially driven by shifts in how we collectively expect reality to behave. Consider how this might change our understanding of personal and collective responsibility. If our consciousness actively influences how reality manifests, then our thoughts, beliefs, and expectations carry tremendous power in shaping the world we experience. As you contemplate these ideas, be aware that your consciousness is actively participating in reality's adaptive processes. Every expectation, every belief, every state of awareness might be contributing to how reality manifests around you. Perhaps what we call physical reality isn't fixed at all, but a dynamic interplay between consciousness and infinite potential. What if the fundamental nature of reality isn't matter, energy, or even information, but meaning itself? Dr. Rebecca Chen at the Quantum Meaning Institute proposes the semantic universe theory, suggesting that meaning is the primary substance from which reality emerges. Using semantic field detectors in 2024, her team discovered that meaning creates measurable patterns in the quantum field, similar to how mass creates gravitational fields. Every meaningful experience, every significant moment, generates ripples in what they call the meaning substrate of reality. The Institute conducted experiments measuring quantum field fluctuations during moments of profound realization or understanding. They found that when someone grasps a deep truth or experiences a meaningful insight, they create coherent patterns in the quantum field that can influence physical reality. Think about those moments when you suddenly understand something deeply, and the world seems to shift around you. The semantic universe theory suggests these aren't just subjective experiences, but actual reconfigurations of reality's meaningful structure. Dr. Chen's research revealed that meaning operates like a force field, attracting or repelling events and experiences based on their semantic resonance. This explains why meaningful coincidences tend to cluster together, creating patterns of related events that seem too perfect to be random. Consider how certain experiences feel more real than others, as if they carry more weight in the fabric of existence. The theory suggests these might be moments when we're more directly engaging with the meaningful substrate of reality, creating stronger semantic fields. The team identified meaning nodes, points where multiple semantic fields intersect, creating zones of intensified significance. These nodes explain why certain places, objects, or Moments seem to carry special significance, acting as anchors for meaningful patterns in reality. Think about how shared stories and beliefs can shape collective experience. The semantic universe. Theory suggests these aren't just cultural constructs, but actual patterns in the meaning substrate that influence how reality manifests for groups of people. Dr. Chen's research also revealed fascinating connections between individual and collective meaning-making. When groups of people share significant experiences or insights, they create powerful semantic fields that can reshape the structure of reality itself. The implications extend beyond subjective experience. If meaning is fundamental to reality, then our search for understanding isn't just about discovering truth. It's about participating in the very process through which reality creates itself. Consider how this might change our approach to science, philosophy, and personal growth. Instead of seeing meaning as something we project onto a meaningless universe, we might recognize it as the primary substance from which everything else emerges. As you contemplate these ideas, be aware that your consciousness is actively participating in reality's semantic structure. Every meaningful thought, every significant realization contributes to the ongoing creation of reality through the power of meaning itself. As we reach the edge of our exploration into the nature of reality, consider this final possibility. What if all the theories we've explored are simultaneously true, each describing a different facet of an infinitely complex existence? Dr. Thomas Williams at the Reality Integration Institute proposes the unified reality theory, suggesting that reality itself might be a dynamic interplay of all possible ways of being. In 2024, using the most advanced quantum reality detection systems ever created, his team discovered something extraordinary. They found that reality doesn't conform to any single theory or explanation because it's fundamentally plural, a confluence of all possible ways of existing, all operating simultaneously at different levels of manifestation. The Institute's research revealed that what we experience as reality might be like a vast holographic crystal, with each facet reflecting a different aspect of existence. Sometimes we see reality as information, sometimes as consciousness, sometimes as meaning, and all these perspectives are simultaneously true. Think about how your understanding of reality shifts depending on your state of consciousness, your focus of attention, or your conceptual framework. The unified reality theory suggests these aren't just different ways of seeing the same thing, but different aspects of reality actually becoming more or less prominent in your experience. Dr. Williams's team identified what they call reality harmonics, moments when multiple aspects of reality align to create particularly coherent experiences. These might be those profound moments when everything seems to make perfect sense, when all the different ways of understanding reality temporarily achieve perfect resonance. Consider how different spiritual traditions, scientific theories, and philosophical frameworks each capture something true about reality, yet none tell the complete story. The theory suggests this isn't because they're partially wrong, but because reality itself is too multifaceted to be captured by any single perspective. The research revealed that consciousness might be the key to navigating this plural reality. Like a quantum observer that collapses wave functions into particular states, our consciousness might be continuously selecting which aspects of reality become prominent in our experience, while never negating the existence of other possibilities. Think about how your experience of reality changes as you shift your attention from physical sensations to emotions, from thoughts to intuitions, from individual awareness to collective consciousness. Each shift brings different aspects of reality into focus, while others recede into the background. Dr. Williams' team discovered that what we call truth might be more like a dynamic relationship with reality's infinite aspects than a fixed set of facts. Understanding might be less about finding the one correct perspective and more about learning to navigate reality's endless facets with wisdom and awareness. The implications of this theory are profound. If reality is fundamentally plural, then our task isn't to find the one true explanation, but to develop the flexibility to engage with reality's many aspects appropriately. Wisdom might lie not in settling on a single view, but in maintaining openness to reality's infinite possibilities. Consider how this might change our approach to knowledge and understanding. Instead of arguing about which theory or perspective is correct, we might focus on developing our ability to move fluidly between different ways of engaging with reality's many aspects. As you rest with these final thoughts, remember that your consciousness is always engaging with multiple levels of reality simultaneously. Every moment of awareness is a unique confluence of infinite possibilities, a singular point where reality's many aspects come together in perfect temporary harmony. Perhaps what we call reality isn't something to be finally understood or explained, but an infinite adventure of discovery and experience. In embracing reality's fundamental plurality, we might find not confusion, but liberation, the freedom to engage with existence in all its endless wonder and possibility. Up next, you've got two more standout theory right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out.